Do you think anything is possible inside of Sin City, Las Vegas? I believe what God is doing is that he's bringing people together under the spirit of unity to display that anything and everything is possible through him. This is Las Vegas United. Well, hello, everyone. I want to welcome you to Las Vegas United. My name is Dada, and I have the pleasure of being your host. And I want to welcome those who are watching on King 17. Also, too, if you're watching on YouTube, we welcome you. If you are watching on YouTube, can you do me a huge favor? Can you go ahead and hit that like button, then turn around and hit that subscribe button? That makes sure that you receive what we have coming out. And speaking of coming out, I'm super excited for tonight's show. We have someone special tonight. We have someone who has labored in this city as a pastor for 29 plus years. And now God has has transferred him, and now he has been doing something different, but still laboring in the city. Can you help me welcome our guest, Pastor Paul Goulet? How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Dad. It's great to see you. We're going to have too much fun today.
Come on, man.
Yeah, we're going to have way too much fun.
Super excited. So before we go any further, right? Yeah. I know some people are very familiar with you, but we have people that have transitioned in. Yep. We have people that are watching from a distance. You know, they're not too familiar with you. So I want to give you, if you could, let the people know who Paul Goulet is, who you are, what you're about, because you're about to do something special here in this city, especially for our veterans. So I want people to know exactly who you are.
Well, it's a long story short. I was trained as a therapist because I was suicidal at the age of 20. I had a lot of success playing hockey in Europe and then Division I hockey, and but I didn't have Christ. So I found Christ when I was 20 through a group called Campus Crusade for Christ and Athletes in Action. Bill Bright. And
that's a good organization, Athlete in Action.
I got rocked. And I ended up moving in with the staff members because I was on drugs and I was a fighter and I was a partier. So I actually moved in with them. So
keep an eye on you.
I needed help, man. I needed help. So long story short, I ended up going into psychology. Then I ended up starting counseling centers in churches. So my philosophy is that a lot of Christians, they're spiritually healthy. They may even be physically healthy, but a lot of them are not emotionally healthy. And back then, when I started, my first counseling center was in 1985. That's a long time ago.
You look good.
I don't know about that.
You look good, man.
So the first one was in Vermont. The second one was in Vermont. The third one was in California. The fourth was in California. And the fourth one was really large. By the age of 33, I had 17 therapists working for me.
Oh, wow.
We had about 400 in our support groups. It went ballistic. And then I went on a missions trip to the Philippines, my first in my life at 33. Wow. And I saw a family living in a box on the streets of Manila. And I never forget, I just looked up to God. I said, I'll do anything for you. And I'm thinking here, I'm doing really well. I had all these therapists. I was making a lot of money. I wrote psychological testing. Things were good.
Right.
And on the flight home, I said, God, remember I told you I'll do anything. And it's clear as day, Paul, you're going to be a pastor of West Valley Assembly of God in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I thought, get thee behind me. You know when you don't know if it's God's voice or indigestion or Satan or your own voice? Well, I didn't think it was God's voice.
Right.
Because I was the counselor of the pastor. I was his counselor. And I knew how bad the church was, and I knew how bad the city was. And I thought,
Vegas.
No way.
Yeah.
The next day, the gentleman, who's a great pastor, Robert Douglas, called me up and said, hey, listen, I want you to know I'm leaving the church. I said, good for you, because there are a bunch of crazy people there. And he goes, and I prayed, and God gave me a vision of who my success would be. I said, well, who? He says, you. And I thought, man, that's not a vision. That's a nightmare. So long story short, we ended up believing that we're supposed to come here. We left everything. We left the money. We left the beautiful offices. We left the career that I trained for to be a pastor, which is something I didn't want to do. I wasn't trained to do. And we took a little church called West Valley Assembly of God back then on West Sahara and Jones, next to the Blue Ox Bar.
That's when it was a chapel, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little chapel. It wasn't even a regular church. It's called the Missions Church, supported by the district. So, we ended up coming here with about 200 people in the church, and had no idea what I was doing. So then I started fasting and praying one day a week, and God got a hold of me one day, and things started blowing up, and So that's a very long. So 29 and a half years later, we had campuses in our city. We had campuses worldwide. We helped plant churches worldwide.
Right.
The vision was 2020. By the year 2020, we would have started 2,000 churches.
Oh, wow.
And by the grace of God, that's what happened. And so our name's nowhere on it because we didn't want the glory. We wanted God to get the glory.
Come on now.
Yeah. So
come on.
Yeah, my name's nowhere. Just not even at my own church that I led for 29 years. You won't see my name anywhere. It's just like if I either did it for God or I did it for myself. And so, yeah, it was an amazing journey. I went through a very tough time after I had 2 strokes and a brain bleed. Oh, so that affected me emotionally. It affected my marriage. It affected everything I did. Then COVID hit.
Right.
So I was trying to manage it through COVID. By the grace of God, I got 2 grants. I got a $1.3 million grant, and then I got a $5 million grant. And so we're helping people in our city. We're just, I'm kind of limping my way through like an athlete who blew out his Achilles, but I could still catch the ball.
Come on now.
But honestly, after I just kind of felt burned out. My brain wasn't functioning 100%. And I thought, I'm going to go for help. And I did. I went to a clinic called the AMN Clinic in California. Found out that my brain was really toast. Like a lot of athletes who have brain injuries. A lot of military men like you had brain injuries. I had brain injuries, really severe, from hockey and then from the stresses of life, and then 2 strokes and a brain bleed tend to affect you.
Absolutely.
So, long story short, I thought, I'm gonna retire from the church. I'm gonna focus on trying to really work on the family part, the marriage part, and because I didn't think I could work anymore. With my psychologist was saying, the psychiatrist was saying, you might take some time off. So I took time off, and I got healthy again. And then one day I sit with him, and he goes, "Here are the pictures of your X-rays or your brain scans." Before and 17 months later. And he said, "Mr. Goulet, healed.
Come on now.
He says, I said, "What about that dark mass there?" He says, "Well, that was they call it the strokes." He says, "That was the strokes." And I said, "Well, why is it not there anymore?" He says, "Mr. Goulet, you were totally healed." And so here I am, 63, and I'm going, I don't have a church anymore. I don't have the grants anymore. I walked away from everything.
Right.
What do I do now?
Right.
And so then it was just like I'm on assignment. So ended up going to France and then Madagascar to train leaders, wrote curriculum for the whole government. Come on. Just crazy stuff. And then I worked downtown with Vegas Stronger, working with the homeless in the tunnels. And then I was asked to help coordinate an event called the Day of Gratitude at the Allegiant Stadium, June 8th. And then last week I was just asked to go back to Madagascar and train 100,000 leaders a year.
Come on now.
So I don't have a paycheck. Right now I don't have a pension. I literally, if someone wants to give me money, then great. But
you're like, here I am.
But it's really, I've helped some consulting with the university and stuff like that. Because like the movie Taken, I have a particular set of skills, and that God healed me. And then I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, duh, like Scooby-Doo. So, Dada, it's so true. So now I get to do what God calls me to do. But I don't need titles. I don't need anything. I mean, I need money to pay my bills, but God always provides. I've not missed anything. Right. So it's been a great journey. I'm very grateful to God.
Yeah. You said something a little while ago, and it just really made me think about, because I'm sitting here, I'm looking at you, and you have this vibrant and bright smile, like your eyes are lit up, like it's like the spark is back, right? But you said some words earlier, and I'm like, very, very interesting. Was you said, hey, not every person, not every Christian is emotionally healthy.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get to this, but there's something, because you're a therapist, right? Yeah. But you said that, and I'm like, is that what you experienced?
Yeah.
Because like I said, I'm looking at you, I'm like, man, like you're vibrant, you're laughing, you're smiling, you're excited. I am. You're excited, but just as well, you were like, hey man, when I was pastor, was like, I hit that burnout. It was like,
I burned out, toast, crispy,
done.
Done.
Send you back to the kitchen. You know what I'm talking about? Emotional health.
Yeah.
Emotional health, because I believe it's probably leading into this whole day of gratitude deal as well. emotional health. What does that look like for you now? Because I'm pretty sure it was one thing to be like, okay, I see what everybody else is going through. It's a very, very great concept. It's a good thought. Okay, I can see where you're lacking is emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, now that you're here,
Yeah.
and obviously it's like you really practice what you taught.
Yeah.
How do you feel now? Because I'm pretty sure you had to go through it.
Oh, like I said, 17 months of therapy, and I can tell you that God helped me really get healthy again. In ministry, it's easy to be unhealthy.
It is.
Because you're trying to lead a congregation, and of course our congregation grew through the years, and then it was multi-campus, and then it was international, and so I was burning the candle on both ends, and I was neglecting my own mental health, my emotional health, my family's. I look back now, and I just ate humble pie for the longest time. And then when you have 2 strokes, it affects you emotionally.
Yeah,
I never thought I'd be able to come back. I really didn't. But by the grace of God, I came back. But I also had a great psychiatrist, a great counselors. I did EMDR. I did probably 80 oxygen chambers. I did everything possible to get better, because after the stroke, they gave me medication. But to solve a stroke problem and the ensuing problems is not. It's not just medication. You have to get better. So supplements, nutrition, exercise, rest, oxygen chambers, EMDR, counseling. I asked him, I said, how do I get healthy? And he says, you got to do like these 8 things. I said, done. So that was my focus for the next year and a half. Just get healthy, get healthy, get healthy. So even as a pastor, I realized, boy, I love God. I love my family. I was trying to do everything I've actually taught. I've taught this. I've been known worldwide for healthy believers, the ministry of reconciliation.
Come on.
And then at the age of 63, it bit me. And of course, I couldn't control the fact that I had strokes, which added to it. But honestly, not knowing that I could ever get better again and then getting better, now I see it everywhere. I'm going, I wrote a series called, a curriculum called Healthy Believers. And it's all about, Paul said this, may your whole body, soul, and spirit be whole until the day. Now, soul is your mind and your emotions. Body is our physical body, which includes your brain.
Yes.
And then your spirit, your human spirit, right? Which is the vessel of the Holy Spirit. It should be. Or other spirits.
Right. If we do it the right way, our spirit is how we interact with the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And I'd say 95% of Christians are not emotionally healthy. At least. And that's a big percentage.
Yeah, that's a huge percentage.
Most people go to church, read their Bibles. They're trying to do the right thing, but they're not dealing with their soul.
The soul care.
Remember when David said, why are you downcast, O my soul?
Yes.
He was talking to his emotional life. So what happens, it's like you and I, let's say we don't work out. Well, eventually, we're going to start feeling lousy, emotionally lousy. We're going to start feeling maybe our self-esteem will be damaged because we're not feeling like we're at our top of the game, right? So what I've tried to tell Christians, listen, yes, deal with your spiritual life. I have my morning devotions, usually an hour to 2 hours every morning in the Word and worship, and then I go for a prayer walk. Okay, so that's a good hour and a half, 2 hours every morning. Look, that's why I am the way I am right now. Because I'm full of the Holy Spirit. I made sure this morning I got full.
Come on.
Because I made sure I got healed, and I stay healed, right? But now I'm full, and I stay full.
Come on.
So even being with you today, I mean, you're a healthy guy. I could tell that because
I try.
You got the joy. I mean, you do. The joy of the Lord is my strength.
Is my strength, yes.
How many Christians are really not joyful? How many Christians' marriages are in the toilet, and they don't know what to do about it? But because they're Christians, they go to church, they smile, they try to stay committed, and eventually it just ends up biting them. So my big message right now for people is get physically healthy, which I am now.
Right.
Emotionally healthy, which takes a massive journey and probably a lot of help. And I do believe in altar calls, and I believe in laying on of hands.
Yes.
I believe in all that. I believe in prophecy. I prophesy a lot. But then I want to deal with my spirit. Am I being spiritually inspired every single day, where I'm feeding my soul, awake my soul, right? We want our soul to be strong, but it's got to be, we're triune, like God is body, soul, and spirit. We're triune. We're body, soul, and spirit. Does it make sense?
Perfect sense.
Yeah.
Perfect sense. And you think, and a part of it, I believe too, is like what you're and I want to get to this part right here, is the gratitude that you have for what God has allowed you to do, both spiritually, emotionally, mentally, right? And and spiritually. So you have the spirit, right? Physically, and then also too just your mind, right? What God has allowed you to come to. Yeah. And it's pretty much all gratitude. You're like, man, Lord, I thank you for everything you've done and what you're going to continue to do. Yeah. And with that, you're now taking your time that you would normally have given to the congregation and to the team at the church and everything, the staff at the church. You're now taking that, and now you are giving it to the veterans. Yeah. You guys have an event that's coming up. Yeah. Let's talk about that for a moment. The Day of Gratitude. Yeah, June 8th. Tell us about that.
Well, okay, I'll cry probably because you want to get into my soul.
Come on now.
Soul talk.
Come on now.
You're a veteran of over 20 years.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your service.
Pleasure's all mine.
You're one of my heroes now. Man. No, seriously, I never had the honor of serving, but I wear this right ring because my dad was a parachutist in the Second World War. First Special Forces. He actually joined a group, 3,000 Canadians joined Americans, and they became the first Special Forces. The Nazis called them the Devil's Brigade. So there's been books written about it, movies written, all that. So that's my dad.
Come on.
And a tremendous war hero.
It's a bad man right there.
Bad man.
Bad man. In a good way. In a good way.
In a good way, but also he suffered. He suffered his whole life. Yeah. Even though he ended up having a great career, became a president of a large corporation. My dad, still, I remember him getting up in the middle of the night in the hallway for our home, just screaming with what he experienced, and just think, but I didn't, when you're a kid, you don't understand your dad. Yeah. So I never gave him that real honor that I should have. So when I got saved, I finally led him to the Lord before he died. I thought, I've got to pay my dad back for everything he did that was great. He's a much greater man than me. And so I wear this ring to try to be courageous every day. And I got involved in these events where we honor veterans. So we did our first veteran event at the International Church of Las Vegas. It was the church that I led for 29 plus years. Yes. I didn't want to get to 30 because it sounded pathetic. Like I had nothing else to do with my life. And I was never a very good pastor in the first place. I was a pretty decent leader.
Oh no, you gotta be moving. I like to say, moving and grooving and shaking and baking in the right way to be leading that long. Right? Wow.
Yeah. That's a whole other interview. But when we did the first event, I have a friend in town called Peter, and he had a heart for veterans, and I, of course, have a heart for veterans. And
absolutely.
And we talked about doing an event, and I had a friend from CityServe named David, who said, "Listen, we can provide product. Let's give it away." And we all talked about giving it away. So we partnered together at the International Church of Las Vegas, and we did an event where we had a PAC building, which is probably 12, 14, 1,500. But then we had 600 veterans, and we gave them over $1 million of product. That was sofas and refrigerators and microwaves and you name it, we gave it if we could get it. Bicycles, and we gave all kinds. And it was a great day. We had like 8 judges show up that day. We had generals show up. It was like the who's who of the zoo.
Come on.
And we had Purple Heart recipients. We had, like I said, 600 veterans. I had one colonel come up to me afterwards, and he said, crying, he said, "When I came back from Vietnam, they spat in my face." And he says, "You did this for me." He says, "I'll do anything for you." And I know the man would have taken a bullet for me because that's military, right? Yeah. And so we did the first event. It was a massive success. And I've been waiting for the second event. So we were going to do it at the stadium in Henderson, the 5,000-person stadium. And then my friend Peter knows the owner of the Raiders, and they have a big heart for veterans. And so they gave us the stadium for one day, June 8th, to do a massive event. So this time we're planning not on 600 veterans, but on 5,000 veterans.
Come on.
And we're allowing them to bring a couple of guests, their friends or family members. We have some Danny Goki coming, a singer who was on American Idol. Wow. We've got Walker Hayes, that Applebee's song. I don't know if you ever. It's a country song. Applebee's. Anyway, I don't want to sing it because we're gonna lose all the audience right now. You're gone when I start singing. But yeah, we're doing this big event. We're giving away tons and tons and tons of product, thanks to CityServe. So CityServe with Church LV. My friend Benny Perez, the pastor there.
Yeah.
Great pastor. He decided to join and provide volunteers. So we've got, and then we've got the voice of the veteran, Bob Maxwell, the founder, is my dearest friend, because he knows that anything veterans I'm going to be involved in.
Right, yeah.
So not only are we giving away probably millions of dollars of product to 5,000 veterans, we're going to have 30 booths of life-saving services. So whether that's counseling or whether that's how to get a home,
right? Because
sometimes there's a disconnect to great people that serve like you to actually getting the benefits they deserve.
Absolutely. Oh, man, there's a huge disconnect. It's a big, because a lot of times veterans don't know what they are entitled to.
100%. And a lot of them are embarrassed to get the help they need. I mean, 10%, like I worked on the streets for 6 months last year with the homeless, going to the tunnels. And I can tell you 10% of the people that are homeless are veterans. And so, I mean, I would just cry because, I think of my father. I think of my grandfather, who was one of the first French-Canadian pilots in the First World War. My uncle who died, who was a merchant marine. His ship was sunk in the Second World War. And then my godson, who did 5 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. He's a Ranger.
Come on,
and so I got this, and
I
thought,
you may not have served, but man, you have the heart of a soldier. You have the blood of a soldier pumping through your veins.
I don't think I'm worthy of that. But
come on, man.
You know what I can do? I can give back. I can give back. I know people, and I know stuff.
Yeah. Well, it takes a fighter to do what it is you're doing.
Thank you.
For a veteran.
Thank you.
It takes a person like you. Yes or no? Thank you.
Well, it's an honor. Now I'm just volunteering with them. They hired me for a couple of months, but I thought, I'm just going to volunteer because I've got to really focus on my next assignment, which is going to Madagascar, where sex tourism is rampant. I remember walking down the streets of Madagascar, and little girls were looking up at me, and I thought, why are they looking at me like that? The guy says, because they're sold on the streets for $5 a night. And I don't know. Do you have kids?
Yeah, I have, and between me and my wife, we have 6, and I have 3. So I'm also a grandfather too, right? So we have 3. I have 3 daughters, and we now have 3 granddaughters.
Congratulations!
Too. And it boils down to, for me, it breaks my heart when I hear that as men, our job is to protect the innocence of women and children, and when a man exploits that innocence, it hurts me, and I have this righteous, and I'm like, no, like you do realize you have been commissioned by God to protect their innocence. That is your job. You're responsible. You're accountable for that. And to hear when men travel and don't even travel or just go and they do these things to children, it as a dad,
I might have to bring you to Madagascar with me.
As a dad, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Oh man, I couldn't even imagine.
So now my whole focus I wrote curriculum for the whole country. They accepted it. I taught the whole government. So this is my 3rd trip. And so recently, one of the leaders of the country texted me, said, hey, listen, can you train 100,000 leaders? They want to change the nation because they don't want their kids sold for $5 a night.
Come on.
They want to change the culture. And so, I don't have the money. I have no backing. I have nothing anymore. I gave everything away.
Right.
Going, I don't know where the money's coming from, but I got a big yes for God. So just like for that event, I got a big yes. I'm still volunteering for that event. I'm going to be there with bells on by God's grace.
Come on.
And August 2nd, I have to be in Madagascar to start training 100,000 leaders a year with no budget, no staff. My sister asked me yesterday, do you have a bodyguard, Paul? Remember last time you had a bodyguard? I said, no, I don't have a bodyguard this time. She said, okay, you got to get a bodyguard. For us to want you to go, you got to get a bodyguard.
You got to get somebody to watch over you. Because you're coming in.
I might bring you
down. Hey, man. Because you're coming in trying to mess up the whole industry for them. And glory be to God that the whole industry crashes, right?
Yes. Yeah, we had some challenges last time we were there. So, because you're fighting against principalities and powers in high places. You want to get spiritual? Principalities and powers in high places. So, we're body and we're soul, but there's all the spiritual realm. Like right now, I need to recruit. If people are listening right now, I need prayer warriors. We need money to do this because I'm going to go twice a year now. I made a commitment for 3 years, twice a year. I'm going to train 100,000 leaders a year, and they're going to go back into their homes, and they're going to go back in and change their schools. I actually had someone donate curriculum for all the schools. So now I've got children's curriculum. I wrote the curriculum for the adults. So I've got from third grade all the way to adulthood, I've got the curriculum to insert into the country. And can you imagine that? Kids are now hearing that they're valuable. We're talking about values, right?
Yes.
They're valuable. Parents will also learn your children are valuable. You don't sell them for $5 a night. So now we're hitting both fronts. And so I know this is not what people think about. Aren't you going to go do a crusade? No, we have great crusades, and I'll look for a good evangelist to go.
Right.
But I'm a leadership trainer, and I train leaders. And what does that nation need right now? Do they need some great revivals? Of course they do. But if we don't disciple them, Matthew 28.
Come on.
Dada, who's discipling people for Christ? Like at this event for these veterans, we want to just be there for them. We want to provide education. We want to provide housing. We want to provide medical care. We want to provide counseling, because you just can't preach a great gospel and deal with their spiritual health.
Come on.
You got to go, am I right?
You're 100% right. Come on now.
Does that make sense?
Look, you've been pounding. I got to pound you on that one right there. It makes perfect sense.
So that's really my passion. Okay, I want revivals. I want outpourings. I've been part of some of the greatest. I could tell you a story, but I know my role right now is you got to disciple a nation. How do you disciple a nation? Well, I can do it. And I have the open door to do it. I didn't know what I was supposed to do next after I finished my major assignment there, and I major assignment downtown with the homeless, and I'm going, okay, what do I do next? Well, it's like Paul in Acts chapter 16 going, do I go here? Do I go there? The Holy Spirit hindered me. So literally, I'm kind of scratching my head because I went through May going, okay, what's my next assignment? And all of a sudden, that opened up. So, okay, that's my next assignment. I'll finish the event, and then I'm going to fly to Madagascar and trust God for the money, trust God for a stat team. I have nothing. I don't know if people say you have a webpage. I don't have a webpage. I put together GoFundMe yesterday or the day before, and I think another one was called Change the World. I have nothing. So, and I'm sure I did it wrong. I'm sure it's pathetic.
But when God's hand is upon it, it can be wrong. He'll still make it right.
Someone once said, if it's God's will, it's God's bill.
Ooh.
Right?
Come on. I'm going to take that one. I'm going to let you know that. I'm going to take that from you.
I'm not going to be in your church on Sunday.
I'm going to take that from you, man. I'm going to take it from you. But here's a quick question for you, though. Two things. Because I want the viewers to know how to be able to connect with this day of gratitude. And then also, too, how can they sow into what you're doing for Madagascar? So the first thing, how can a person either sign up, get information up on the Day of Gratitude? Where does a person go?
Well, I think right here, I've got the flyer, so I'm just going to make sure I do it right.
Absolutely.
I think it's dayofgratitude.com. But if you guys will go, if you're a veteran, please register. So a veteran will get what's called an anchor ticket, which means that it not only gets you in, or if you're active duty, we're even honoring active duty as well, which they deserve the honor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you'd go just, I wish I could just send this to all you guys. Dayofgratitude.com, I got it right. You can go register veterans, active duty. Please register today. We're running out of tickets.
Okay.
Because we have a ceiling of what we're allowed to do because it was given to us. So please register like today, dayofgratitude.com. And then you can also get the other tickets for your family members. So an anchor is a veteran or active duty personnel person like yourself.
Right.
So then you can sign up your wife and kids.
Come on.
Yeah. And that day, I'm telling you, will be completely 100% amazing. Can you imagine the buildings donated by the Raiders? So we're going to have Raider players there. We're going to.
Yes.
It's going to be a very big deal, and we're going to have the who's who of the zoo.
Right.
But for me, I'm probably going to be out front there, just greeting veterans as they come in, and the Purple Heart people. They're all my buddies, and so I just want to make sure that I serve them and I serve them well. I got a lot of paying back because my family all served, and I got to pay them back for my liberty and my freedom now. If it wasn't for people like you, I wouldn't be free. If it wasn't for my dad, I'd probably be speaking German.
No, absolutely. And then also too for your Madagascar trip and everything and going up over there and building up leaders, how can someone sow into that as well?
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. Number one, prayer. Because it's a tough place. Yeah. We're tackling some tough problems. I need like 1,000 prayer warriors, people that just at any time of the day start praying, because we're 10 hours ahead.
Right.
Secondly, I have a couple of people that said yes. Pastor Benny said yes to going, so he wants to go. And well, I'm not sure if he can go on this first trip, but Johnny Miller from Pittsburgh, who owns a large construction company, he's going to go, and he wants to go. So right now I'm looking for team members, because how do you train 100,000 people a year? I need table leaders. I need people that can and just get involved in people's lives and care about them and love them. This is not a crusade. It's leadership training, round tables. You're around a table. You're finding out people's garbage. You're talking about values. Sometimes we're allowed to talk about Jesus in the room, which is great. Other meetings are going to be purely secular meetings where we talk about values. And the neat thing is, when I wrote the curriculum, I basically took Proverbs. It was like, in the secular curriculum, it actually quotes the Bible or New Testament scriptures, and I would write a proverb, or I'd write David, King David, or I'd write Jesus, or Paul.
Come on.
So I kept the verses in there. I just put who the authors were, and not necessarily the Bible verse itself, although it was the Bible verse.
100%.
So it's really cool because they just love it. Oh, it's a proverb. I love proverbs. It's a song. I love songs. Jesus. Yeah, I've heard about Jesus.
Right, I heard that name before.
So, I mean, one prayer. Two, I'm always looking for people that might want to go and give their lives away, because then we'll also be involved in going. We'll be doing some church events as well. We kind of keep that on the side. Right. But a lot of pastors I'm friends with. I trained 6,000 pastors already, and so I'm encouraging them to start soccer leagues, get the kids off the streets, because they're either in prostitution or gangs. So, but the third is, financially, we've got a budget. Because to train 100,000 leaders a year, it costs me about $2.50 a leader. So, Dada, think about that for a second. If someone literally donates $2.50, I can train one leader. If you want to give $25, I can train 10 leaders. Come on. So just do the math. And so it's a simple math, but that's my budget right now. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but it's the power of multiplication. If I got someone watching right now go, I'm going to sponsor 10 people, that's $250. I'm going to sponsor 100, that's $2,500. Imagine you can claim credit when you get to heaven. You're going to get a thank you, well done, good and faithful servant. You changed 100 leaders' lives. I'll go. I'm going to go. I'm going to give my time, my energy. We're all going to go as a team. Right. But if someone would sponsor per person, I'm just thinking that's the easiest way to do it. Right. Like almost anyone can do $25. That's 10 people. So then I can do $100,000. Is that cool?
Yeah, so good. So good. So good. Like, man, I look forward to meeting you on this day right here. Come on. I guess we're going to talk about the whole Madagascar thing.
Oh, yeah.
You got me intrigued.
No, I'm serious.
No, absolutely.
I honestly do need security. Well, because the last time I can't really divulge stuff because it's all confidential, but there were some challenges and they had to hide me out for 3 days in a hotel. So
I got you. Understandable. Fully understandable.
But thank God there is a great president there, and I love the security team there. They were phenomenal. There's a lot of amazing leaders there, but there's also forces of evil, as we know, and sometimes they don't like when the message gets out.
Come on, now.
But thank God for the great president. He's a phenomenal man, and a lot of his cabinet are just sold out Christians now. They're just phenomenal. They want to bring change to a nation. Right. No, so it's like the Macedonian call right now.
Come on, Dad. There it is. There it is. Hey, listen, we hope that you guys enjoyed this evening's segment. And our prayer is that you make sure that any veteran that you know, if you're a veteran for yourself, that you show up on this day, June.
Sign up today, though, dayofgratitude.com.
Dayofgratitude.com. Make sure you sign up. Every veteran, make sure that you're there, have your face in the place. Also, too, if you're looking to sow in and help Pastor Paul Goulet for his Madagascar mission as far as raising up leaders, make sure you sow in just the same. Other than that, you guys have a blessed evening, and we'll catch you guys next time on Las Vegas United.